Good afternoon. We still have some people coming in, so we'll start in just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you? Good
I'm
to
good.
see
How are
you.
you? You too.
Good. Hang on. It's okay. My wife is like, "Are you talking to me?" So, how are you?
Good. Surviving, getting ready for the holidays. How
Oh
about
yeah,
you?
same here. You know, always gets a little crazy around the holidays with public
Oh,
notice.
yes.
Some folks know, but yep, all is well. All is well.
Good. Right. 1 minute, and we're going to get started. We'll not make everybody else wait. I'm going to record the meeting. Hopefully, the recording doesn't disappear like my last meeting. All right. Well, I'll try to keep an eye on the
You want to make me
inbox
the,
here.
Lisa, do you want to make me the host and I can let people in while you're
I don't know
talking?
how I don't know how to do that when
Oh,
I'm
okay.
staying on, so I'll just try to keep an eye on it. Um, Thank you everybody for joining us. MPA committed to doing some educational sessions when we took over the PNRC last spring. We're really excited about working with everybody across the country on this stuff. And we thought for a kickoff session, the first one would be the kind of how to keep public notice and where the public notices. Um, so we're happy you're here. Happy Monday to everyone. I'm going to start out with just some notes about uh, obviously, this isn't a glamorous topic, but it's an important one to our industry. It plays a big part in what we refer to as the three-legged stool, that being open meetings, freedom of information, and of course, public notices, because they all contribute to letting the citizens of our country know what's going on in their communities and with their governments. It's crucial to democracy, in my opinion. To coin a word from one of my favorite TV shows, the key word in successfully maintaining notices in newspapers is pivot, which is something we've all had to do. A lot of different states have done some different things over the last several years um, to make it more accessible to their readers. And we still provide what PNRC and other experts consider to be essential elements to public notice, which are accessibility, archivability, independence, and verification. Um, uh, this is no longer about newspapers versus the internet. It's about newspapers and newspaper websites versus government websites for the most part. Um, when combining print and online readers, newspapers vastly outpace government websites for readership, and that's an important thing to note when you're talking to your legislators. An additional problem with the push to online only notices for government websites and others is that they disenfranchise elderly and lower income populations still. There are a lot of, I know in Michigan, areas that don't have internet access yet, and a lot of people in an older generation that don't want internet access. So, um, newspapers are a great source for notices because they have many notices from various municipalities, school districts, etc., all in one place. If they were all on different sites, you'd have to look all over the place to find the notices. So the consolidation of them is another good talking point. With that being said, we're going to chat a little bit when I find it about today's topic, keeping public notices where the public notices. I first off want to thank the Oklahoma Press Association, my friend Mark Thomas, for giving me some extra ammo for this presentation today. And we'll go from there. Can everybody see that all right? Yeah? Okay.
You might want to go to presentation mode though,
Okay. And where
which is
is
your
that?
your top left, the picture, the up nope, top left above that, right there.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. That was very helpful. Okay, now I got it. Get where we are. Okay. We should not underestimate the importance of public notices and the care with which they must be managed. Newspapers have an obligation to provide readable, accessible public notices to the public, and the fees paid for newspapers for the publication require adherence to certain standards. I know some states we all have different laws about costs of notice. I know in Michigan, legal notices are a set fee and public notices are not. I would always suggest and always have to our members to try to keep those fees as low as possible to avoid a ruckus and an excuse to go to the legislature. Newspapers also must encourage the general public's readership of printed notices. Write articles to report on notices in your newspaper or other papers in your coverage area and refer readers to the actual notice. Promote readership of notices in your printed newspaper, on the website, and on your social media when appropriate. I'd also add that PNRC has a contest annually that in many states participate where you can win an award for having the best story based on a public notice in Michigan or in the country. And it's a cash award just for the record. So the do's and don'ts of public notice are pretty clear, but we're going to run through them real quickly as a little reminder. Because I know in a lot of states, state legislatures and other organizations are trying to get the notices on their government websites as opposed to being in newspapers. Publishers understand providing proper notice of government or other legal action is essential, but maybe readers don't. And legislators sometimes, unfortunately, don't either. So here are some do's. Do tell your readers regularly about the importance of public notices and your role in publishing them. Do give public notices a prominent and permanent position in your newspaper. Don't move it all over the place. Make it where they can open the paper and see it in the same place every week or every day, depending on when you run them. Do make public notices easier to read and understand. Do train your staff on the importance of public notice and any requirements for the notice. Do use public notice as a source of news stories. Do let customers know you're the public notice expert, which you are. Do work with us, the PNRC, to monitor public notice legislation so we can help you and help your colleagues around the country. And do display notices or a link to them prominently on your website. One of the things I wanted to add about training your staff on the importance of public notice, and when there's a lot of turnover, we found that notices kind of get lost in the shuffle when someone takes over for someone else in handling them. So try to keep an eye on that when working with your staffs on notice. Now the don'ts. Don't treat public notice as just another classified advertising category. Don't assume your readers, I have someone coming in, know you're the source for local public notices. Don't put your least experienced staff member in charge of public notices. Make it as important as you want it to be. Don't think that this is only about revenue for your newspaper. Here are some other notes that I've come up with along the way and gotten from friends as I deal with this issue. One of the most important part of the maintenance of notices and papers is the archive. An advantage of the printed newspaper notice is that it is easily archived. It can be done through stored print editions or PDFs on a storage device. Notices are legal and historical documents that may be used in lawsuits several years or decades after publication. I see Brad Thompson's here and he can attest that people wander into his office to go into the morgue and read old editions of the paper.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Another important part of this is customer service. Acknowledging to your customers that you've gotten the notice and that it's being published, not just assuming when the clerk sends it every week that you're going to do it and they're going to assume you are. Have a template response ready to send via email, fax. I don't know if anyone still uses those, but if you do, etc. And also send a proof and bill to the customer after the first publication of a notice to make sure it's accurate before additional publication days. Both of these things not only are good customer service, they help you to keep track of your notices and not drop notices along the way by accident because you have a system in place. And this is my favorite part, promoting readership of notices, because we do want the citizenry of our areas to read these things. Put an index in the print directing people where to find the notice. List why notices are important and beneficial to the general public on pages with notices. Consider including a glossary of terms frequently used in notices. Sometimes people are interested, but as they're reading, I don't know if you guys do this, but on my Kindle, I hit the word every once in a while to see what it means. Promote them on your social media account. Post them on your social media account. Let people know in different ways what's going on in the community. Consider putting news type headlines on certain notices, such as city, county, and other notices.
Hello, happy Sunday. I am doing a quick little Amazon haul.
And finally, on this list, use photos. Make your page more not just black and white, but find a map that goes with a zoning thing you're talking about, or other picture that of your county commission meeting, and grab people's attention that way. And that is the end of my little
Lisa, you might want to mention the contest, the public notice contest.
I did, but you weren't here yet.
Oh, okay. Well, mention it again. It's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
We have the Michael Kramer Public Notice Journalism Award, and it's a news story or series that highlights the impact of public notice or the omission of a public notice. It helps your readers understand better public notice and explains the consequences of a public body's failure to publish a notice in a newspaper. One other suggestion that I use often, I do it with FOIA and open meeting stories too. Use the process story. If someone drops a notice, write a story about it. If they don't let you know there's a public meeting going on in your community about an important topic, let the public know that there was no notice. I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago in the Wall Street Journal, there was a huge story about a municipality down in West Virginia that was getting one of those huge data centers, and they didn't post a notice about it. And it got to be national news. So, and raised awareness of the importance of public notice. And I think those data centers are a good topic for this issue, because there's going to be a lot of those coming on soon. So that is my rather quick presentation, but I wanted to leave 15 minutes or so for questions if there are any. And we have some other experts here from PNRC to help too. Jim and Brad and Dave. Does anyone have questions? Wow. Everybody had pasta for lunch. Yes, I'll send the slide deck out. Travis asked if I would.
And the recording, right? The recording link.
And the
Because I
recording.
know I see Jeremy here, but there aren't a lot of as many folks as I was hoping to see from the IPA. There might be some I don't know here, but Illinois Press Association. So we definitely want to get the link out to your presentation, Lisa, because it's great. I think the do's and don'ts are so important. And this is something that we really need to keep alive, as many of you may agree with. And this gives us a little extra.
Thanks. And
Well-
we are, I want to add to that, we're working on the website and updating some things on there. We welcome suggestions for other webinar topics or things you'd like to see on the PNRC website. And I know some of you have house ads. We have house ads in Michigan we use. And if you want to share those, we can put them on the PNRC website also. So
Well, I think it's important to remember that, it's a three-legged stool of transparency for government between open meetings, FOIA, and obviously public notices. And they're all critical. So just keep, your readers need to realize, or your community needs to realize and remember that. We got to keep pounding them on that. It's critical.
I have a question.
Okay.
If you can hear me. Are there currently any specific challenges or threats to notice publications? I'm in Illinois. I'm in Joliet, Illinois. But anywhere else or in Illinois that anybody knows of? Or I know a couple years back there was some consideration of a bill, but I think that's been at least backburnered, if not killed. Is there anything else going on that people know about?
I have not heard of anything in Illinois recently. I know that Pennsylvania is looking at a change, and there's some concerns there. And they're talking about adding a digital only component if there's no print publication. Based on what happened, I think, in New Jersey, other states are talking about that too. Because that was kind of a surprise to everybody. That was the most recent shocking development, was the New Jersey situation.
I like, and I hope that PNRC continues. This is Jeremy Gates here with the Tribune Group, to monitor legislation that impacts notices across the nation. Because MJ, you had asked about Illinois. There's always legislation that's being pushed by different folks with different agendas, and And we've got a great team that continues to fight against that. And we kind of escalate as they become more and more concerning, right? So we'll find out as session approaches what we're up against this year. But I like how the PNRC continues to update what's going on across the country and different legislation and where it's at, because hey, what's happening in your neighbor state is eventually you know, gonna come our direction. I know recently in Florida there's been impact with online notices. Same thing within Virginia. It has to be online only a news source. And yeah, there's stuff going on in New Jersey that I'm less familiar with because we don't have any papers out there. But we're always up against a battle, and we try to navigate the waters as smoothly as we can with this little disruption.
Yes, yeah.
We're-
And
We
if
are,
you,
well, PNRC is starting to work on some best practice principles for what would be, like a newspaper that's gone to digital only. What would the parameters be for good quality public notice, that sort of thing, just in case, because, we're seeing that more and more. So we're not advocating that you go change change the statutes in your state, but we want to be prepared and let everybody know what ought to be in potential legislation should it go that direction, I think.
I think, as mentioned earlier, a good practice is obviously to feed to the state, the general state site, but also to your newspaper site in front of a paywall. That way, if and when things do occur, we're best positioned to handle it and still be the authority, right? Going back a few years ago, I remember sitting at a Hoosier State Press Association meeting, and they're talking about how this lady came up and she says, my 95-year-old dad doesn't read the newspaper. He gets his notices from the newspaper website, and holds up her phone. And I'm like, well, that's an argument for us, right? You're not saying he's getting it from Google or from Facebook. They're saying they're getting it from our newspaper site. Well, that is an argument for us. As long as we are delivering the news and notice, however it is our constituents want to consume our information, then we're doing the job that we need to be doing. And we just need to make sure that we're aware of those that are fighting against us. Sometimes they make our arguments for us.
yeah, they do. That's the other thing. If you aren't receiving the newsletter from PNRC that goes out once a month, let me know. My email's lisa@michiganpress.org for right now. And we'll get you on the list, and that gives you a rundown of all the what's going on in different states. Jim, my boss there, Jim Tarrant, tracks all that every month, and we'll provide that info to you. So
I would tell Jeremy that currently we're tracking about 190 bills across the country. Some are of, greater interest than others. Some I don't think have a lot of impact, but they just pop up on our tracking site, and we just keep an eye to see if anything changes.
Yeah, that's great. I like, and you track the last action and the stance of the PNRC on it, and all that good stuff. So hopefully that continues, because that's a great resource.
Lisa, what's your email again?
Lisa@michiganpress.org, and I will actually put it in here too, in chat.
Okay. Great.
There you go. Any other questions?
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And use that email if you have any questions or anything too, anytime.
Thank
I
you.
think we're working on us getting public notice emails, but we haven't gotten there yet, right, Jim? Is that
We have one. We have admin@pnrc.net.
that in too? Oop, if I could type, I could. All right. So thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your Monday.
Thanks, Lisa.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye.